Yeah.
Third? Well, I'm gonna probably. There are only 2 left.
Really? We should do it together, or do the last 2.
Yeah, there are only 2 left.
Really? I'm thinking about putting it on for like.
It's misleading because it says 32 units. It's only 18.
Yeah, I know that.
I'm kind of
Silas.
They're really cool. They're really.
Dude, I'm always fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gym is sweet. So I've already kind of got a semi on that.
Really?
Maybe 2.
So I was gonna submit one tomorrow or Monday. You know how much it was?
No. He was telling me.
So I just put my house in my contract.
Have you heard of Big?
So Dawn's still in town? I feel like I learned a ton.
Well, I've toured them and gone through them. I've seen all their finances.
I looked at everything they had on like that, like all the cash flows and stuff. I wanted to put it on.
Yeah, I probably couldn't. Because they originally.
I was thinking about 2.75.
This thing that probably. They were 2.75.
Both came in and offered 2.75 on the last 2 each.
Awesome. Yeah, let's talk more. I've already kind of got a semi.
I was trying to find you all day. Kept coming and going.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but let's talk tomorrow.
Okay.
Because yeah.
Yeah, I know it well. Is this your lot? Here, I need to get a new one.
You know what? Justin's week. You just went here media. Oh yeah, you can start. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. How did you get back? Yeah. Last hour. Alright guys, we're gonna get started. Dal, we good on camera? Okay. So I'm gonna give our speaker tonight an introduction. So Brad Creer, he's the CEO of our company. If you haven't had the chance to talk with Brad about just life in general, investment opportunities, just life questions that you have, he's an awesome person to talk to. He's had a lot of success throughout his life with different business ventures. He's a successful father of 6 kids. He's an awesome husband, awesome leader, and he's been a personal mentor for me the past several years. And so I've learned a lot from Brad throughout my time that I've known him. He's actually my father-in-law. So he's a special person in my life, and if you guys allow him to be, he can be a special person in your lives. He can be a second father figure to you, and a mentor, a coach. And so I was actually at a conference this last weekend, and a lot of really, really good key takeaways. And one of the best takeaways that I had was, if you want to get somewhere you've never been before, find a mentor who has been where you want to go. Okay? And so Brad's one of those mentors for me in my life. And I know all of you guys have big aspirations to be financially free and become the best version of yourself. Brad can be that mentor for you. And so he actually knows this guy, Andy Andrews. He raves about him and the 7 decisions. I've heard this for years now, and I'm actually looking forward to this training a lot. And so be attentive, make sure to take notes. Always put your learning before your earnings, okay? You're not gonna earn your way into millions just like that. You gotta learn it first, okay? And so be attentive, and let's give Brad our undivided attention. Let's give him a round of applause to start.
Thank you. Everybody has a little handout in front of them, right? Everybody have a pen. Circle number 7. Somebody tell me what it says, nice and loud.
I will persist without exception.
I will persist without exception. If you get only one thing from tonight, just one thing, I want you to remember that. Put it in the core of your being. Have it be part of who you are for the rest of your life. Let's start with a story. There was a young boy got a football for Christmas, a little tiny boy. They were pretty rare back when he was born. He took that thing and put up a tire in the backyard. Decided see how good he could get it, throwing that through that tire. I don't know how many times, but I'm sure it's hundreds of thousands of times he threw that thing through that tire. Became a pretty darn good player. This young boy eventually grew up, decided to play high school ball, tried out, made it as quarterback. He played, I think the last 2 years as quarterback of his high school team. Eventually, he did get a college scholarship. Pretty prominent team. In fact, they were the national champions this year. But he had a pretty rough college career. In fact, this man had a serious back injury when he was a junior in college because the team hazed him. Sat out his entire senior year, did not play his senior year in college ball. But he still knew that his biggest dream in life was to play in the NFL. So he held out and held out, said, I'm gonna make it in the NFL, I'm gonna make it in the NFL, I'm gonna make it in the NFL. He got drafted. 200th pick, 17th round. Got paid $6,500. When he went to the team, there were 4 quarterbacks on the team. They didn't have a jersey that had a number left for a quarterback, so he wore number 42. 3 years he sat on the bench. Never got any playing time. The team was one of the worst. They were always either the worst or the second worst in the NFL. So they decided, well, we need a new coach. They hired this new coach. Everybody in the community said this new coach he's never even been a head coach. He was an assistant coach. They said he's too old, too hot-headed. He'll never succeed. New coach is coaching. They're in one of the final games of the season. First string quarter, now he's second string. He did get number 15 finally. Now he's out there playing, or his first string's out there playing. Of course, what happened? Injury on the first string guy, gets a break. He goes in, wins, and consecutively wins the rest of the game that season. The next year he's starting quarterback, right? This man won 5 Super Bowl championships in 7 years. This coach that everybody wrote off said would never, ever make it in the NFL. Went on to be probably the greatest coach ever in history. Anybody guess? I'll tell you, Bart Starr and Vince Lombardi of the Green Bay Packers. Only to be beaten by Tom Brady recently. I remember him because I was a kid. He was one of my heroes. But that's persisting without exception. That's saying, no matter what, I will not be denied. No matter what, I'm going to see this thing through. No matter what, I'm going to stick with what I've decided to do. This man behind me, one of my favorite men on the face of the planet. They call him the Will Rogers of the 21st century. back in '98, I helped to produce some of his productions, so I got to know him pretty well. Here's a quick story. When he was about 19, his mom died of cancer. Then a couple years later, his dad died and tried to leave an auto accident. So within 2 years, he lost both his parents. He said, I was homeless before anybody knew what homeless was as a word. He was living on a pier in Alabama, lived in garages. He had not a dime to his name. He would clean fish at the harbor. He decided that the ticket out of life was to get a library card back in the day. So Annie got a library card and he ran like 350 biographies of the greatest people that he could read biographies of. He basically compiled that and he started to see trends and he started to see patterns and he started to say, what is it that makes these people successful? He wrote a historical fiction book called The Traveler's Gift. I encourage you all, because this is all based on this. And he goes back, there's a man that's injured, gets in a coma, goes back and he meets 7 historical figures. I encourage you all to read it, because that's what this leads to this. We're going to go through the 7 decisions. I'm going to have you guys do a lot of input. The reason I'm doing this today, for some reason, this is in your Audible, guys. This book, in my opinion, has been one of the top 5 most influential books in my life, hands down, bar none. Nothing comes close. I listened to it again last week. I had a lot of time on my hands, and so I listened to it again. I'm going to encourage every one of you to listen to this on your Audible. Okay? We're going to run through the 7 decisions, and these are based on the original story called The Traveler's Gift, of the historical figure that they talk to that teaches them one of these lessons. Okay. So, mastering the 7 decisions that determine personal success. The first decision and thing that he found that was across the board with all these great leaders and these great people throughout history was they took what?
Ownership?
Ownership, what else? Initiative. Responsibility. They were totally initiative, ownership, extreme ownership. Some of you are reading that right now. The buck stops here. Anybody remember who said that? Harry S. Truman. He was big, world famous for saying that. So the bottom line is, in fact, let me just throw that out there. What does that mean to you guys when the buck stops here?
I feel like a lot of the times, like, it's really easy to just go like, oh, well, this person told me that this was the thing, and so like I'm passing on the responsibility or the ownership of my decision onto someone else. And so like when he says like the buck stops here, I think he's saying like, no, like this is all me. Like I'm the one that's taking care of this, like whether in or out, whether good or bad, like this is me.
Okay.
I feel like that's like when I hear people say like the buck stops here, like, that's how I feel. So.
Anybody else?
No excuses.
No excuses.
Brad, no excuses at all.
Yeah. Do you blame other people? I mean, even when it's somebody else's fault sometimes? Do you ever say it's not my fault? The bottom line is, you have, I think one of the greatest things we've been given is the gift of choice. And you can choose to say, you know what, I'm responsible. Sometimes there are a few instances where things happen to us that weren't really, our choice. But the bottom line is we've got to get past it and just say the buck stops here. Time and time again, you'll see people overcome amazing obstacles because they just took responsibility. So bottom line is the buck stops here. The next one. This is what, in 7 decisions, it's I will seek wisdom. So, seeking wisdom. And anybody knows me, in fact, anybody, I'll give you some points if you can name our core values. Where's Cole? Cole.
Harvey knows it.
Harvey.
Personal development, unity, persistence, integrity, loyalty, and leadership.
Okay. So, what's the first one?
Personal development.
Got it? Guys, every single successful, incredible mentor of mine, person that I look up to, that I just say, wow, if I could, you know, achieve that success, or I could be like them, or I could be a father, a leader, if I could be a businessman, an entrepreneur. As I've kind of gotten into their world and figured out what's made them successful, guaranteed they all sought wisdom. It's what Brian Tracy says. He says, learn from the experts. Yeah, you want to know about something, go learn from the experts, right? So seek somebody out that's been there, done it before, and I've done it throughout my life. You know, you guys know me. It's about personal development. It's what I call Drive Time University. So those audibles, the CDs that we have, anytime some of you went to some training over the weekend, anytime you have an opportunity to get in front of somebody that you can learn from, just pick their brain, ask questions, and shut up and listen. You know, I was taught to say, you know, if you get across the table from a wise man, just listen and ask questions. And so I've done this my whole life. It's part of the core of my being. Seek wisdom from the best books. And you know, there's all kinds of ways we can do that. So seek wisdom. The other core thing he talks about is, he says, create what you call your personal board of directors. And he says they don't even need to know they're on your personal board of directors, but they're just individuals that you want to surround yourself around, that are going to make you a better person. And bottom line is, that's your core group of friends. It's kind of like Dan Clark says, you know, be around those people that say, you know, I like myself better when I'm around you. And so seek those people out. He says he had one, Danny Andrews says, I have one for being a husband and a parent. He says, so how did I find that person? I says, I went out and looked for people who have been married over 35 years. That I see they've raised great kids, you know, and he has them, and he says, what I do is I take them out to dinner. You just start asking questions, because he has 2 sons, wants to raise great kids. But bottom line is, just seek your own personal, some people call it a mastermind group. I don't know what you want to call it. You know, whatever, you can give it a name. You know, it could be your fraternity, it could be your group, or your guys that you hang out with. But hang out with people greater than you, and they're going to take you to a higher place and to a greater level of intelligence, and just better who you are. So I will seek wisdom. Decision number 3, I'm a person of action. Let's just throw that out there. Why is this important, and what does that mean to you? Harvey's going to just run this thing.
I think a lot of the times, like, I've caught myself in like in a pattern where, like, instead of like acting on it, I just go, okay, well, let me think about this, and I try to plan like every aspect of it out, and I get caught in that trap rather than just being like, okay, this sounds like a great idea, let's just go do it. And like, if you don't have like that plan of action, like, and you wait for that person, that perfect moment, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life for that perfect moment.
Analysis by paralysis, or paralysis by analysis. I got that wrong, right? You just sit and you're thinking about it. Think about thinking about it, and you overdo it. So that's great. Anybody else? Cole.
Yeah, I mean, it's a goal without action is just a wish, right? I believe in this chapter. It's been a long time since I've read this book, but it talks a lot about decision making as well. Making fast, quick decisions and then acting on it. A lot of people can say, oh, I need to eat well and go to the gym, but it's people that actually act on it, like Bob over there. 2 years ago he acted on it, and you see huge results because he acted on it. Action is a lot harder of a thing than thinking of a theory and making goals.
Rob, is it hard to get up some mornings at 5 in the morning, get to the gym?
Tomorrow.
Is it hard to eat that protein and to bring your lunch and to, you know?
Yeah, it is. I mean, at first, I've been telling myself for 15 years I was going to do it and didn't take the action. Until finally one day I was like, I just need to do this.
What motivated you to take the action?
Just tired of feeling lousy and being worn out when running around with my kids. And so finally one day I was just like, you know what, it's time, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna actually take the action. And once I decided to take the action, it wasn't that hard.
You mentioned a word there, Owen, your kids.
Yeah.
Did that motivate you at all?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I know Rob pretty well, and I know that motivated him in a huge way. You know, so you just end up saying, I've had enough. I'm going to act on this. I'm going to move. Nathaniel.
Yeah, so I think point 2 and point 3 go hand in hand. You know, you can't have one without the other. It's great to seek wisdom, it's great to attain knowledge, but unless you're applying that knowledge, it's not of much worth to you. Urban Meyer talks about in his book, above the line, he says K minus A equals 0. Knowledge minus action equals 0. And so, yeah, just taking massive amounts of action, very, very important. And it's always better to make a decision than to not make a decision at all, even if that decision may have not been the best one. But like Cole was saying, you need to be a quick decision maker. Make up your mind quickly and slowly. What's the phrase?
And change your mind slowly.
Change your mind slowly.
Yeah. You're getting ahead of us. In fact, that's exactly I think is the next one, isn't it, right? So you just move on it, basically. In fact, can I give you one more recommendation? Some of you, this is in my top 5 at least, probably as well. It's part of your Audible. The 5-second Rule by Mel Robbins. If you haven't listened to it, please write it down.
Wait, what was it called?
It's called the 5-second Rule. It's a woman. I saw this, I saw the stars on it, and I'm on Audible. I'm going, man, this thing, it's got to be good. And I started reading the reviews, and I thought, it's got to be amazing. I thought, this man's something else. This man's amazing. I started listening to a sample. She's a woman. Her name Mel. She came to Vivint Smart Home Arena. 30,000 people packed it a few months ago. The entire arena. Mel Robbins. What is it about? Listen to your inner, whatever that inner voice is. That inner, whatever tells you to basically how guides you in your life. Get real good at listening to it. And you have 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe a little slower. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. To either act on it, write it down, or do something about it, or it's gone. That's as simple as the message is. So you have 5 seconds, because your brain will just. So you need to at least in the middle of the night. I have my brown journal. You guys would laugh. You know, I have 5 pages all the way down. I mean, I'm still working on things 5 pages back that I wrote in the middle of the night that are action steps. But I've written them down, and they're still in there. And I'll get to them when I, you know. But it's about, you know, basically doing something and acting on it. So, and then I want you. I'm going to challenge you all, and I'm going to give you a little challenge at the end. There's going to be a little special part to this whole thing. To listen to this book, because it is on your Audible, but there'll be an even better part if you'll listen to the book. But there's a story about Joshua Chamberlain. Write it down. I want you to pay big attention to this story about Joshua Chamberlain, Civil War hero, probably one of the greatest heroes ever in the Civil War. Made one of the most important decisions in the history of the world. So there's a little teaser. Listen to it just to hear the story of Joshua Chamberlain. Okay, so be a person of action. Move, act on it, do something. Don't ever let it set. In fact, we recently had one of the church leader that I just, you know, really love this man, Thomas S. Monson. He's the epitome of that. Anytime there was prompting or something needed to be done, or he acted on it. I watched him do it for my neighbor, literally. So be a person of action. Follow, just look at people that are successful. I guarantee you they're people of action. All right, here we go. Number 4, I have a decided heart. So we said earlier, you make decisions quickly, you change your mind very slowly. And you're not going to always make the right decisions, right? But at least you make them. And there's nothing worse than somebody that's so undecided, they go or make a choice, or if they're at a restaurant, and if it takes you more than 2 to 3 minutes to decide what you're going to eat, you probably need to start making decisions a little easier. And it's not that big of a deal. But sometimes they're big decisions. Sometimes they take a little bit more, but they shouldn't hold you back. Bottom line, that's again the story of Joshua Chamberlain. He didn't even, there wasn't even a second to make a choice or to think about his decision. Because of one decision by one man, we live in this United States of America. So, in fact, let's throw it out there. What does it mean to have a decided heart to you guys, real quick?
To hold to it, to be decided. You're not going to waver with your decision.
Yeah.
It's what you've chosen.
Yep. Be decisive and, go forward, move, act, and then sometimes you're might have to live with a decision and go, shoot, here's the key. I wrote down one. Nathaniel, in case something happens to me, there's a bunch of quotes in the right-hand drawer of my desk. It's in the bottom, about the 4th file over. It's got hundreds of quotes. There's one of them inside that file, the ones I've written down. Purpose of life is to make good decisions and learn from the bad ones so you can make a lot more good decisions. You got it? The purpose of life is to make good decisions and learn from the bad ones so that you can make a whole lot more good decisions. So you get the gist of that one? What happens in life, I'm going to tell you, it's a principle. In fact, I meant to tell you, these are laws. These are like the laws of gravity. These don't change. They're not fluff. It's not, a quick fix. These aren't the cotton candy of the month principles. These are principles that absolutely don't change. When you apply them, they work every single time. So, as far as a decision, just basically be very decisive and have a decided heart. There was something that came to me. Oh, call it whatever you want. I call it providence, okay, for this matter. When providence can trust you to make a good decision, providence will give you the opportunity to make a lot more decisions. The way I explain it is it's like a funnel. The more decisions you make, and if they're good and right and wholesome, and your life gets like this. Does that kind of get that one? If I taught it on a board and I was teaching young, I teach a lot of youth, I say it's like a funnel, young people. This is bad down here. This is good up here. You know what this one? It's like prison, kids. You make the bad ones and you get on this merry-go-round, it looks really cool, and you can't get off because it's spinning so fast because you're stuck. That's called addiction. It's called prison. This up here, this is life. Gives you every possible opportunity, dream, aspiration, whatever you decide in life that you're going to declare and claim as yours. That comes with, I click past it, the decisive heart. So have a decided heart. Got it, guys? Decide quickly and make good ones too, and learn from the bad ones. Today I will choose to be happy, man. Annie Andrews says if he was asked what's the one single thing that will change your life the most, he says it's this one principle. And he says, and it's in our cubicles, and here's what he says. And he trains companies, it takes them 200, 300, 400. Go to Andrews, challenge you, go to andyandrews.com, kind of click around, find out, read his bio, find out what he's about. He's taking companies to 200, 300, 400% increase in growth. He says the one thing, he did it with a real estate, one of the big real estate companies. He told them to smile when they talk. It's on our cubicles. Smile when you talk. Silas, man. Anybody know Silas? Is this guy happy? You ever seen him down? I call him Happy Silas, man. This guy, it's just, he exudes it. It's part of his life. It's who he is. It's part of his core. Is this guy going places? There's no doubt. I mean, it's unreal, right? So, can you always be happy? Only guy I've ever met right here. I'm serious, guys. I've rarely met, because sometimes it just, the day, I don't use this word, but it sucks. But this guy somehow smiles through it. But you know, you can't be happy all the time and be perfect, and it's always, you know, rose-colored glasses, right? But, you know, be happy. Choose, it's a choice, right? There's a book, Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. He says one of the ultimate human, the things that can't be taken from you is your ability to choose. And that one of the abilities is just to find joy in whatever it is. I mean, they were in the concentration camp finding joy in the little dandelion that sprung a yellow flower on the other side of the fence, right? So find joy in whatever it is, no matter where you're at in life. You know, even if it's bad, guys, sometimes it gets a little bad and a little dark, but light will come, and it's, you know, but the best way to get through it is to be happy. Kevin.
I remember, this was years back, I was selling door to door, and I was trying to figure out, you know, really how to get rhythm and how to catch grasp. And the guy at the time who was mentoring me, his name's Tim Edrick. Dallin knows him well. Some of these other guys may know him as well. I was into role playing with him, and I was doing my pitch time and time again. He was videotaping me, and he stopped me in the middle of my pitch one time, and he said, "Hey man, smile." That's what he said. He said, "You're so focused on getting this pitch down, you don't look happy, you look miserable." And he said, "Smile, be happy, people are going to relate with you." He changed my life. There's no question about it. I started smiling as I pitched, and people related. It's so much easier to relate to a person who's happy.
Yeah, Kevin's that guy, man. He's a pretty charismatic guy. Kevin's, you know, you're right behind Silas here. And
Appreciate that.
yeah, no, he is. He's, every time I've seen him, he's upbeat, he's happy. You know, it makes a difference. Nobody wants to be around somebody that's a drag. Nobody wants them on their door. Nobody wants to buy from that person. You know, even if you're having a bad day or you're a little frustrated, smile through it, man. People buy from people they like. Harvey.
You gave me some advice when I first started, which I think every new rep should know, which was, here were the two things that I needed to be successful were, you told me. It's enthusiasm.
Oh, got it.
You told me enthusiasm and great work ethic. You said if I could have those two things, then I would be successful. And that was an incredible first year.
Yeah. I always, sometimes if you get a text from me, it says be persistent and be consistent. So, and then the other one is enthusiasm. Real quick, the guy that's out on the trophy has the most, probably doesn't anymore, but nobody took 4 years for somebody to catch him. I used to listen to the calls with this guy. Oh. Unbelievable. He's on with account creation. Hey, I'm here with the McGee family, and we're going to get them a DVR, and they got this new TV, and they're going to get HD on the TV, and we're going to make sure that can you make sure that you get them that remote for that one and hook it up to the, to the TV and the, I mean, it was just unreal. he would actually almost, he would overdo it to some degree. But this guy, another thing, would run from door to door with an umbrella in his hand. In the rain, in the rain. He'd go to get his tires rotated, take out the umbrella and run from door to door. And there was never a day he wasn't gonna put in 5. Nathaniel might have him beat, but for a long time. When I asked myself, why is this individual so successful? Enthusiasm. And everybody could feel it, they wanted it, whatever it you got, man, I wanna buy it because something, is great about what you're selling. So use enthusiasm. I'm glad you remember that. So, choose to be happy, guys. There you go. I will gratefully stay with a forgiving spirit. Guys, tell me how this works and how is this a principle that applies? Harvey can now.
This just reminds me of a quote that I keep seeing every once in a while. It actually pops up on Facebook where it's like, holding a grudge against somebody is like poisoning your own mind and hoping that they die. And like, so when we knock on a door, and sometimes we can run into like people who it's like a bad time, and we allow that negative energy or attitude to stay with us. We're not, we stay angry at that person all day. Like, we hold on to that, and they're just letting it go.
Yeah.
And
You know
so-
what? They're probably just resting just fine. and
Yeah.
They're going about their life and they don't even know about what you're harboring.
And so, like, if we wake up in like a forgiving spirit, I feel like when I wake up in a forgiving spirit, I like leave my troubles in the past. I take my good things from yesterday and I bring them into the momentum of today.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I messed up, I'm like, great, okay, well, then today's a better day.
Yeah. I want to say this sometimes hard. Sometimes they're pretty terrible things you gotta, but be the first one to go and say, hey, let's work this out.
I think,
Silas.
doesn't he say something along the lines of, this person one day wouldn't buy something that's a really obvious sale or whatever, but would buy something that's really stupid on another day, just because people change from day to day. Do you know what I'm talking about? Does he say something like that?
I'm trying to recall.
I don't know. It was, maybe he would, this person wouldn't buy water in a desert, but would buy a cooler in a frozen tundra or something like that, just changing upon the day or whatever. And I think that's true. We just have to give people the benefit of the doubt. And that's okay. You can talk yourself out of it every time someone's rude. You just walk away and maybe they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or they probably make good bread or something, who knows.
I can see him doing that.
But I had a guy who, he was actually apologizing to me a lot. I didn't remember it. But I went back to his house because he was a referral. And he was really embarrassed because he'd been really mean to me, I guess, like a week before or 2 weeks before or something like that. And then I sold one of his, I think it was his daughter or something. And she referred me to him and he was like, yeah, I hope you forgive me for that. I was like, I don't really remember. But, the fact that he was so rude that one day, but then the other day it was just an easy decision for him.
Yeah.
It's fine. We can forgive people and we don't necessarily know what's going on and it shouldn't affect us.
Yeah.
But like, if you had held on to that grudge, like if you had held on to that like negative energy that he had given you, and you had like instead of like been forgiving about it, like you could have like.
I'd be $200 poor.
Exactly.
So guys, who is the principle of forgiveness most for? Point right here, man. It's not about them, it's right here. The whole reason this is in our lives is because it's for you. It's not about them. In fact, sometimes we're the hardest ones to forgive. But even that, if we're holding a grudge, it's for you to basically, apply this and get rid of it. So, greet each day with a forgiving heart. Last and final one, we're going to go wrap this thing right back to that little boy that threw that football and wore it out and threw it through the tire and didn't get his chance and was drafted 200th and played for $6,500. I will persist without exception. There's a guy named Robert Allen who's a mentor of mine. I owe a lot to that guy and what he taught me. And he said, you need to have this attitude and say it to yourself often. I will not be denied. Get it? Have that be your mantra bottom line. I think it's Cole. What's one of your favorite words? Starts with an R.
Relentless.
You got it, guys? It's absolute relentless. You know, absolute, and it's part of your core. If you want to be the top, one of the top guys in this, and be one of the top money earners, and basically, you know, be successful whatever you do, be relentless. Persist without exception. I love the word a little bit. Again, I text it. Be consistent and be persistent. And bottom line is, you know, you'll get through it. It's what every great person that's ever, you know, graced this planet, that's ever been successful, has had this in the core of their being. I have Thomas Edison on my wall in my office. I just recently watched a documentary on him. I don't know how many, it was like 40,000 times he failed. He said, I didn't fail 40,000 times, I just learned 40,000 times how to come closer to creating a light bulb. Changed our world, didn't it? So, persist without exception.
So Brad, I was gonna ask you this. One thing that I guess I'm trying to improve in and being able to convey, communicate, and teach and coach reps and how to do it much better is, how can you help coach someone to keep the hope of success and the light of, you know, whether it's closing their deal, what are they hoping for? What are they pushing through in persistence that they're struggling with right now? What techniques, what strategies, what systems can they put in place? What can be done to keep that hope in the forefront of their mind so that they can continue to persist and they don't give up, they don't quit?
Mm-hmm. You know, for me, it's just basically just having that attitude of, I will not be denied. I mean, and it's also letting rejection just, you know, slide off your back.
Yeah.
And just let it, you know, just like a duck, man, it just rolls off you. You know, everybody knows the 4 SWs. Some will, some won't, some won't.
So
Get
what?
this, guys? The 4 SWs. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting, right? I've always loved that one. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Just don't let it affect you, man. Because if you let the negative voices out there in the world, I love this one. I learned it just came to me. There's a great prophetic statement that says, I'm not going to give space to the enemy of my soul. You got it? Don't you dare. I don't know your name, but
I'm Sean.
Sean.
Yeah, I'm pretty new here, but
Good. I'm glad you're here.
I absolutely love this quote. I will persist without exception. Especially what you said about not giving way to the enemy of my soul. Like I really feel that success is, you gain success by overcoming so many little decisions every single day. Choosing to always do the harder right 1,000 times will slowly accumulate to you being successful. It's like Harvey was saying last week that he gets up early and he exercises. You always have that moment where,
Man, I like this, man. This guy is burning boats
Look
too,
at him
man.
go.
This guy is on fire, and I know he doesn't know that I know it, but he's burning boats and he's going places. And this guy, watch out. I'm serious. Sean,
But it's cool because like the very first thing you do in the morning, I'm the saying, the very first thing I do in the morning is you wake up at whatever hour you get, not a lot of sleep sometimes, and you make the very first choice, do I stay in bed or do I go out and do I exercise? And if you make that first hard choice to persist, then you set the day automatically choosing to overcome hard things. And that becomes your DNA over time, over 1,000 times overcoming hard decisions, it becomes who you are.
Yeah.
becomes your DNA. It transfers over to everything. In school, you've been studying for 4 hours and then you're tired and you want to hang out with friends even though it's like a Wednesday. You have two choices. Well, if you're in a pattern of doing the hard thing to get successful, you'll continue to do that. If you're knocking doors and you had 100 failed attempts, but your DNA says, well, I'm going to keep persisting, then you'll get one. And it's so awesome to see, like, you make the choice to persist, to always want to be successful, 1,000 little decisions to overcome will soon become your DNA. And I've seen it. That's how you get success, is always choosing to do the hard thing when you're given the option. So I just love that. Cool.
Sean, I love what you said, and this guy's going places, man. Whoever's, his mentor, stick next to Sean. But the without exception is, it's one thing to persist, but the other one's saying, it's going to be without exception. I'm going to, this is where I'm headed, and nothing's going to stop me. So I just want to end by just saying, guys, your life, you are set here for a purpose, and there's something you need to achieve, and there's greatness in every single one of you. There's something you need to, the coolest part about life, it's in the quotes, there's some other one, it's about just the discovery process of this whole thing. It's like, what's in store for me? Because there's something great in store for you. There's a life of excitement and fulfillment and joy and everything that you could ever dream possible. I'm literally, if you can put it down and you can set a goal around it and you can visualize it, it'll eventually be realized. If you do this, you got it? I promise you. Set a goal, persist without exception. It'll be yours. And I'm just grateful you're here. I probably spoke a little long, but be like that little boy in the football. Thank you. Here's what I have to say. I have, could you hand these out for me? I have a gift for you. This is for you to pass.